Give me one sec here. And we are live. We're finally live. Okay. Hi, everyone. At 9 o'clock, top of the hour, we're going to be starting this webinar here in literally like 2 seconds. I just need to jump onto the presentation, and I've got Facebook Live going, and I've also got Periscope going. I'm just making sure that everything's set up and good to go. There we go. Everything go. This running as smooth as humanly possible. I'm going to start jumping into this. I appreciate everyone signing up and taking in this webinar today. This is on learn how to automate your bookkeeping or accounting practice. And if you have any questions, I have a chat box going. I'm looking at that right now. The unfortunate part with the chat box down below is it only takes up, it only allows for 10 spots. So if anyone has any questions, they can text me at 403-630-1243. You might want to write that down just in case. You can also call me after the fact if you want to talk to me about any of this stuff. If anyone's on Periscope and watching this, same thing. You can reach me at 403-630-1243, and we'll go from there. So just to jump in, who am I? Just to give you an idea and understanding of why I'm running this webinar today, I am one of the owners of a, it's a software platform, but we run it under a couple of different entities. It's called entermyinvoice.com and also bookkeepingautomation.com. And I'm going to preface this whole presentation with I'm not a bookkeeper, I'm not an accountant. Who I am is I'm a lifelong sales and marketing person. So if you get into some technical questions today, I may not be able to answer them, but I will be able to get answers for you as well. So next thing, just the other thing too is I'm also a #1 best-selling author. I contributed to a gentleman's book his name's Jeffrey Gitomer. He's written like 14 #1 bestsellers. He's kind of like the a sales guru. So ages back, he asked me to help contribute to his book. This is about 4 or 5 years ago, called Social Boom, in which I did, and it went to #1 on Amazon. And henceforth, I was lucky enough to be able to say that I'm a #1 best-selling author because I contributed there. So that's a bit of a roundabout way of doing it, but there we go. I also I run a website, and it's called salestipaday.com. It's in the top kind of 1% of all websites in the world. Actually, it's in the top 0.1% of all websites of the world. And it has a whole bunch of sales and marketing tips that I put up on a regular basis. Unfortunately, I just got so busy I can't put them up daily anymore. But that's who I am. And last but not least, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've owned several software companies in the past and a bunch of different things. And I just love starting up businesses and getting them going and stuff like that. So anyways, that's kind of a little bit who I am, just so you can preface this. As I said before, I'm not a bookkeeper. I'm not an accountant. If anyone asks any questions in any detail, I may have to default to some of our technical people to help you out with that sort of stuff. So anyways, if you do have any questions, once again, feel free to text me at 403-630-1243, and we'll go from there. Just checking around on a couple of different slides here to make sure that we've got things going. I see people in the chat window. Jarrett, thanks for joining. Other people, thanks for joining. Unfortunately, I don't know who you are. Now, are you ready for this? I'm going to ask you a couple of questions first, just before we get started into this. What would you do if you could gain more hours in your day? Just think about that. If you could gain more hours instead of working, full day, what would you do? How would you spend your time? The other thing too, what would you do if you could add more profit to your business? Just think, if you could have more money sitting in your pocket, just by doing a few things differently than what you do, that could have a tremendous impact on your on everything. You think about it. Could be an extra vacation a year, could be that car that you've always wanted, could be paying down the mortgage on your house. So this is, we're kind of going to get there today, and I'll start talking about that as well. The next thing that I want you to think about is how happy would you be if you could get your clients to do a ton of work for you? And I always love this. I love this picture of this guy shoveling his snow out of his out of a driveway, obviously, or something like that. And especially because we're up in Canada, this is so relevant. And so, anyways, I'm going to show you a way that you can get your clients to actually do part of your work for you, and you'll still get paid for that as well. So there is a way that you can streamline your business, work less, and get more money out of your business. So I'm going to show you kind of 3 secrets, and this leads into this kind of how do you automate your accounting or bookkeeping practice. So the secret number 1 is I'm going to teach you just one thing that you could do today to increase your profitability. Just really, it's one thing, and most people are starting to move down this path, but it's going to put relevance into it when I start putting some numbers towards this. Second thing you're going to learn as a secret here is you're going to learn how to work less time and get the same amount of work done. Then the third thing we're going to do is, once again, I'm going to show you actually 3 ways that you can get your clients to do up to 50% plus of your work for you. And these are proven ways. We have clients right now that are using our system to do this, but you don't necessarily have to use our system to do this. And I'll get into that in a couple of seconds here. So secret number 1, what is the one thing you can do today to increase your profitability in your business? Now, if you look at kind of the world right now, most of the people that you're probably dealing with are on QuickBooks. QuickBooks in North America, the statistic on QuickBooks is that 80% of the marketplace, the small and medium-sized enterprise marketplace, is using QuickBooks. And if you look at that, 90% of those people that are using QuickBooks, they're using QuickBooks, 90% are using QuickBooks Desktop, which means about 10% are using QuickBooks Online right now. Now, these stats, so the last slide and this slide, this information comes directly from Intuit. QuickBooks Online, it's predicted in the next 5 years that 50% of their business is going to be from QuickBooks Online. So that's a huge increase. That's a 500% increase over a 5-year period. And, a lot of the people that you're working with right now, well, I shouldn't say a lot, but companies that you're probably working with right now are going to be moving to QuickBooks Online. If they're not, then there's reasons for you to potentially move them to QuickBooks Online. The other thing too is, as new businesses jump on QuickBooks, obviously you've probably seen it. There's ads all over the place talking about QuickBooks Online. And so what you're going to do is you're going to find a lot of people are going to jump onto QuickBooks Online. So you're going to have to work with QuickBooks Online. Now, why is this beneficial to you? And this isn't any secret. QuickBooks Online has this great little area called the QuickBooks App Store. And QuickBooks Apps, I don't know how many vendors. I think, so I live in Calgary. I deal with Jeremy Burke quite a bit. Jeremy told me, I think there was over 400 or 500 companies that have built apps into QuickBooks Online. So because you have the ability to look at third-party apps, there's a great way that you can start to automate your practice. And what this means is you're going to have to go out, you're going to have to start taking a look at different apps that are in the marketplace. So I've got kind of several apps, or well, 6 apps sitting here. I have, our app, which is entermyinvoice.com. There are other apps out there that do stuff like ours somewhat. You could always take a look at like HubDoc and also Receipt Bank and different apps like that. The other one is, one I really like is Dream Payments, which handles the credit card and Interact transactions. You got T-Sheets, you got Pluto to get people paid. You can use Insightly as a CRM, and then there's Jobber here as well. So I've got, just different little apps that will start to automate your business. And what you have to do is, unfortunately, I can't do this here. I can't educate you on every single one of these, but what you can do is if you go to apps.com, it'll direct you through to the App Store. And then there's overviews in each one of these apps on the App Store, and there's reviews against them. There's a whole bunch of different things. My suggestion would be, if you want to find out how they're working, poke around the site, poke around the website of the app company. If you want to find out more, go to their contact page, reach out to them and say, show me how you can help me with this. And they'll be doing similar things like what we're doing here, which is running webinars and showing people how to automate their practice. Now, as you start to layer in different apps, one of the things, by the way, before we go any further, I know a lot of people look at it and they go, yeah, but apps cost money. And here's what I say is, you have to do a cost benefit analysis against using apps. So, if you're going to spend $10 on an app and it gives you a 50%, 60% gain in efficiency, and that's going to give you $500 to $600, then absolutely, that's well worth taking a look at using that app. If you're using a $10 app and all it's going to do is give you a $10 gain or less, then you look at it and you go, really, there's no use in me using that app. So you're going to have to do a cost benefit analysis against this. So I'm going to use a scenario where, if you've layered in some different apps, you can reduce your workload up to 80%. And we've seen this with our application. And I'm going to go into a specific example with our application just to show you how to do this. But once again, like if I look at Dream Payments ties in directly with QuickBooks Online. So, you're getting paid, you're recording your sales and your transactions. So everything's going into QuickBooks. So there's no longer any manual entry in that. That gets rid of a lot of time. So as it relates to our company, I'm going to take a look and so this is not an example for an accountant per se, although it could be. I'm going to look at it as a bookkeeping example. So let's say you have a client and you're doing the bookkeeping against bank and credit card statements. And let's say you have 25 pages of bank and credit card statements that you have to enter into the accounting system each month. Typically, there's going to be about 20 line items on each of those pages. And if you're going through and doing this, I'm just swagging 60 seconds per line item. If you do this, it takes you just a little over 8 hours to do this for a client. If you're charging out at $30 an hour, that means your revenue is coming in at $240. So that's just that prefaces doing stuff manually. Now, with a system like ours, if you have a client that has these paper statements, what our system will do is you scan it. So we use a Fujitsu Snap Scan, 500, and literally 25 pages you can scan in 1 minute. So what I've got is scanning and setup time, 1 minute to 5 minutes right there. The thing with our system, and I'll get to this in a little bit, is that we start to automate the process. We start looking for specific transactions that clients do that you can actually build rules against and start automating. So it's not inconceivable that you could get upwards of a 75% time savings, which means you would save about 6 hours. Now, this is a scenario. You might save 40% of your time. You might save 50%. Typically, we're seeing between 50 and about 80%. So this would give you back 6 hours. So now what would happen is what took you 8 hours to do, you can get done in 2 hours. Now, the fact is, you're also supplying a person with value, your clients with value. So what used to take $240 to do, you can do in 2 hours. Still charge them the $240. Value pricing in action right there. So now what happens is your hourly rate goes from $30 an hour up to $120 an hour. So what happened was 8 hours times 30 gives you $240. If you're doing it in 2 hours, 240 divided by 2 hours, $120 an hour. You've increased your profitability by $90 per hour. Huge, huge increase right there. So once again, I'm going to go into a bit on how our system automates and does its magic. But typically, the first time you go through, you have to teach, say, our system. And I think this is anyone that has an artificial intelligence platform, same sort of thing. You have to teach them what it is. But once you go through it, you start shrinking the time that it takes because we start matching up. We've seen this line item before. We've seen this transaction before. We know to apply it to this GL. We know that this rule has to be applied against it. Then really what happens is you almost do a Pareto effect. So 80% of the invoices that come in, you can automate. 20% are the ones that you have to kind of work on doing manually into a system. And then really what it does is that 80% just becomes a review process to make sure that the information's aligned and correct, and you've saved yourself an awful lot of time. Another kind of savings. So in that case, what I was talking about is taking the bank or credit card statements that are in paper format and then scanning them and then putting them into our system. If you can get invoices or receipts or you say bank and credit card statements in a PDF format, this will save you a ton of scanning time. So you can always ask your clients to get them to you in a PDF format, or you can get them from the bank directly. Something that we have coming up in our platform in the near future is that we will have bank and credit card feeds in similar to what like HubDoc does. So, but we'll take it one step further and allow a lot more stuff to be done there. So that's how you increase that profitability within your business. So I'm going to talk about kind of secret number 2, which is kind of learn how to do a work in, say, a quarter of the time or up to a quarter of the time with the same amount of work. Basically getting more done with less. So once again, I'm going to use an example of our platform. It's I'm not, well, I guess I am trying to push our platform, but once again, remove our platform, put HubDoc in there, put Receipt Bank in there, put Dream Payments in there, put, Pluto, put stuff, whatever it is. You're automating your process and you're working less hours to do this stuff. So in our case with ours, what you do is one of the ways you get information into our system is you scan that information. And then it goes into our system. So once again, that's a Fujitsu Snap Scan. It does 25 pages in a minute, double-sided, by the way. And you can get this into our platform. Then the other way you can do it is you can get actual PDFs. So you can get your clients to send you PDFs, or their vendors can send PDFs into our system. You can import them in. Another way to do it is take a picture of a receipt or an invoice and then import it into our system. So what happens is once it's imported into our platform, entermyinvoice.com, what we do is we extract that data. So the first thing it does is it gets rid of the manual keystrokes that you have to do, and it lines it up in like an Excel looking spreadsheet so you can see kind of where everything is. Then the other thing that saves you time, so one, we get rid of the manual typing. The next thing, if you have a whole bunch of invoices and receipts from specific companies, so in this case, Esso, we can search on Esso. And then what you do is if you know that Esso is going to go to, say, an automotive GL, then what you do is you select all, and then what you do is you bulk code. And you can bulk code multiple transactions at the same amount of time that you can do one transaction. So let's say you have 100 transactions from Esso, and it's taking you 60 seconds per transaction. It's 600 minutes. Is my math correct? Anyway, someone can do the math. I don't have a calculator in front of me. Instead of doing it in 600 minutes or 600 seconds, that's right, 600 seconds. You could do it now 6,000 seconds. You can now do it in 60 seconds. So massive time savings there as well. And then what happens is you can always apply rules. So if you see the same stuff coming through over and over and over again, why would you set it up to keep typing that in? What our system will do is it will learn, it'll take a look at it and say, hey, I understand that this line item or this information is this. So for example, Esso, once it sees that Esso receipt, then the next time it sees it, it'll say, you can automate it and just say, automate this next time you see it. So it'll say, where did it come from? And is it from this vendor? And what's the address? If it goes to that GL, that would be automotive, then it would automatically code it for you. So you get rid of the coding. So 3 things kind of start right off the gate, right? Or right off the bat is that you can extract stuff. So you get rid of the manual entry. Second thing, you're bulk coding. So you do massive coding in once. You start applying rules. So that's how you go and get rid of, 50 to 90% of the manual process that it used to take to do this sort of stuff. So once again, just to reiterate, scanning, bulk coding, auto remember, massive time savings. in this case, I'm just saying up to 80%, but we're seeing kind of between 50% and 90% when people do this. You know what? I'll give you an example. We had and if anyone's watched any of my webinars before, we had a physiotherapist in Whitehorse who had a CRA audit, and he had a whole bunch of receipts and bank statements and everything that we had to correlate. And the accounting firm that hired us to do this said it would roughly take them between 60 and 90 hours to do this. So if you take a look at an average, it's about 75 hours. We had our smart guy in our company, James Elser, run through this, and he was able to get it done in, I believe it was 28 hours, and it probably would have got it done in about 20 hours with the coding, getting it into QuickBooks and being able to get it to CRA. He probably would have got it done in 20 hours, but he had to go back and forth with the accounting firm because he didn't know where to put certain GLs on certain transactions and stuff like that. So massive, massive time saving. So now we're into the third secret here. The third secret is how there's 3 ways that you can get your clients to do up to 80% of your work. And this, once again, is specific to our program. But if I think about it, I'll talk to you kind of about basically doing it with, let's see here, Dream Payments and potentially Pluto. I'll use those 2 in a couple of seconds here. First thing you could do is if you get an invoice or a receipt, you can take a picture of it and send it into our system, and our system will extract that stuff. But here's the scoop. If you have clients that have people that are out on the road getting gas, when they're at the gas station getting that receipt, take a picture, send it into our system, we extract it and put it into our platform, and you can apply the rules against it. That's the first way. The next thing is if you have clients that are sending you receipts in PDF format, what you do is you call them and you say, hey, quit sending these to me. Hold on, I'll get to yours in a second here, Jarrett, your question. Once you get this, now send it to, and we give you a unique email address. What our system does when you email this in, it extracts, or it pulls out that PDF, and then it extracts all the data and puts it into the system. And once again, if it's got rules applied to it, then that's taken care of. So what happens is you're getting your clients to tell their suppliers to email you at a certain email address that we give you. Last one is you can get your clients to just scan their documents and add them to Dropbox, Box, or OneDrive. And once again, we can connect those to our system. We extract that data. And then once we extract that data, then what we'll do is we'll line it up in our system. If there's rules applied to it, then it's done. So if you take a look at this, when you get your clients to do these 3 things, you automate your process through bookkeeping automation or entermyinvoice.com. You can have about 50% of your work done for you by the client. And in this case, there's a report out there, and it says that 74% of invoices come in paper format still. And what I say is take a look at it and use the Pareto Effect for your vendors. 80% of, 20% of your vendors are going to do 80% of your invoicing or your clients' invoicing. So just go through, even if your clients don't do this, then you pick up the phone and call these vendors and say, stop sending me stuff in this format, email it to this address. And basically, a vast majority of this goes away. Like you get your clients to do a lot of this stuff for you. And this slide just talks to it again, is 80% of the suppliers do the same thing. Just get them to send it to you as well. Jarrett, to answer your question, once a rule is created, you still have to approve after. So correct. So what happens is we don't push stuff directly into QuickBooks, and we work with QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online, by the way. So there's really no system like ours, I think, that we've found that works with QuickBooks Desktop. Let's see here. So, yeah, you have to go through and review just to make sure that everything's correct in there. But what you'll find is the more you use the system, the more comfort level you get with it. And you realize that, the vast majority, I would like 99.9% of the time, it's going to be, if you apply a rule to it, it's going to be set up the exact same way. The only time it throws it for a loop is if someone has a product, for example, because we extract at the line item level. if someone has a product XYZ and all of a sudden it becomes product, they change the name to product ABC, then it's going to throw the system for a bit of a loop. So you have to train the system to do that stuff. Yeah, in case it typically goes to gas, IESO, but occasionally goes to shareholder loan. Okay, so yes, that is correct. So the other question here that I can answer for you, Jarrett, is because, and I use this one as an example. You go to Canadian Tire, you buy a coffee pot, you buy tires, and you buy a hockey stick, or your client does. The coffee pot, you're going to, because we extract at a line item level, you're going to apply that coffee pot to, say, an office GL or office supplies GL. Tires would go to a automotive GL, and that hockey stick you could code to shareholder loan. So it'll extract that and do all that information for you directly out of there. So hopefully that answers your question, Jarrett. Here's another thing that I find it's interesting is get your clients to send you their paper invoices, scan them, and charge them for it. And I know there's a lot of people who go, what? You know what? Here's why. You're providing a lot of value, and I'll tell you exactly why. Right now, the Canadian government has increased the amount of workers in the CRA to go after people for CRA audits by tenfold. So they're going hard after people. In order to get, obviously a CRA audit done, you got 30 days to pull the information together. If you're scanning this information and you can attach it into QuickBooks, then that audit goes so much faster. You're making their life a lot easier. The other thing too is that in QuickBooks Desktop, we can't attach the receipt, but we actually will save a copy of it and put the image in a URL in the memo field. So this is the huge value to doing this stuff. So, I would charge your clients a certain rate just to scan all their stuff and put a minimum, like if they, for example, if they give you 25 invoices or 25 receipts or something like that, and it takes you 5 minutes to scan it, charge them $20. So, once again, an additional profitability. By the way, I was going to talk about Pluto and also Dream Payments and how they would work. So not to keep it centric around our platform and enter my invoice, I do want to give other vendors and app guys a chance here. Dream Payments, for example, when you're doing transactions, if you have clients that are using credit cards or debit, and what you do is you get a terminal, and that terminal can be in your office if someone comes in, or it could be in a truck for people to do stuff. Put it in, pay it, and then that goes and can sync directly up to QuickBooks on a per sales transaction. So once again, you don't have to go into a bank, get a bank statement, pull that data, do all that stuff. You remove all that, and you can start applying rules to that stuff as well. Same thing, with let's take a look at Pluto. Instead of having a vendor or your client issue checks or write checks, you can do a direct payment for them and do it quick. Now, here's the other thing too that you could do is if your clients are paying off their vendors quicker, and they have 30-day terms typically, if they're doing it in 7, you should go back to the client and ask them for a early pay discount of like a couple of %. So that's just certain things that you could do. So there you go. There's a couple of tips and tricks for you. Just as an overview of how this works, you can scan it. So start on the left, working right, scan stuff, get it in a PDF format somehow or other. If it's emailed to you, you get stuff emailed to you, or you take a picture. You can add it into Dropbox, Box, OneDrive, and it'll go into our system. The other thing too is you can actually import it into our system or email it into our system, enter my invoice. And from there, the value prop in this case is we extract all that information so you don't have to type. You can do bulk coding, massive time savings. You start applying rules, and when you start applying rules to each of those line items or those invoices or receipts or anything like that, that gets rid of having to go through and do that over and over again. You auto review. And then really what it comes down to is, on the ones that you've automated, it's just a simple review process, and then you sync it with QuickBooks Online, or in our case, you can also do QuickBooks Desktop. So the benefits to everyone here, just to kind of look at this, is you're removing a massive amount of time. You're also removing keystroke errors. So if we get information in a PDF format directly from the source, our error rate is like 0.1% or less. So 99.9% of the time, the information is going to go into the system correctly. When you start to apply common rules, you get time added back onto your plate. Once you get time on your plate, and if you're charging your clients the same amount you would have charged them before, then you're increasing that profitability as well. So huge time savings. So anyways, that kind of takes me to the end of this presentation. There's a couple of things that I just wanted to go over. One of the things that we find when we go out and we're talking to companies is this whole kind of technology transformation is very scary for them. So my business partner, John Leishman, has created it's an 8-month course. We can also do a condensed version in 4 months that walks you through how to digitize your business, how to basically transform it from a manual paper-based business into a highly effective digital-based automated business. And so what he does is he goes through and does coaching calls each month and walks people through this stuff. These courses, if you want to do the 8-month course, it starts at $500 a month. 4-month course is at $1,000 a month. If you're interested in this, I can send you more information. You can contact me at chris.hamilton@entermyinvoice.com. Now, here's something interesting though. Don't look at that $500 and say, oh my God, or $1,000, oh my God, there's a huge cost to this. You will gain efficiencies. But here's the cool thing. We figured out a way to get the government to pay for 2/3 of this course. So on an 8-month course, the government will pay $335 per month for this, and you have to pay $165. Basically, same thing. On a 4-month course, the government pays $670. You pay $333. Now, here's the other thing that will make this so that we can make this kind of a zero cost to you as well, is we will let you use our software free up to 100 or 250 pages for the 8-month or 500 pages for the 4 months, which would then, the value that provides to you that you don't have to pay for it is going to make your cost $0. So nice thing is we can get the government to pay for it, and we will kick in and make this a zero cost for you. The unfortunate part about this is that if you are a sole proprietor, you cannot do this with a government course. If you have employees, you can do this, but as a sole proprietor, unfortunately, the way the program works, we cannot do that. So I got a couple other things here too. We are just in the process of moving from version 1 of our software to version 2. So if you actually go to entermyinvoice.com or bookkeepingautomation.com, we do not have, we're not taking anyone new on right now until we get the new version out. And the new version, unfortunately, it was supposed to be at the end of this month, but we had 2 massive projects come through that we had to get done. So we pushed it out a couple of months. But if you want to be notified of the launch of entermyinvoice.com or bookkeepingautomation.com, then just go to bit.ly/EMI /30day. And if you go there, it'll take you to the contact form. Just fill out the contact form. And what we're doing is we're putting people on a wait list, and we'll notify them once the platform's up and ready to use. And the other thing too is we'll give you a 30-day trial of it for free. The value on that's upwards of $700. So we'll give you a 30-day free trial on that one as well. I just want to let you be aware of another one that I do. Because I do a lot of sales and marketing, when I go out, I talk to bookkeepers, I talk to accountants. You know what? One of the first things that I hear from them is I have a tough time getting clients. And so what I'm doing is I'm going to run a webinar on October 17th at 9 a.m. And it's learn how to use LinkedIn to generate sales leads and close sales. So the process I'm going to go through, see if I've got it here. Yeah, I do. I'm going to show you how to identify the ideal prospect on LinkedIn that your competition don't even know about. So this is going to be a way for you to figure out and find how to get people that you could go after that are more open to doing business with you, and your competition don't even know about this stuff. I'm going to show you how you can approach these LinkedIn contacts or sales prospects the right way and increase your likelihood of getting more business. I'm going to show you a simple little trick that you can do to get a 5 times greater response rate from your sales prospects in LinkedIn, and also what you can do to close 60% of the sales with your LinkedIn prospects that you go after when they're ready to buy. And last but not least, I'm going to show you how you can actually automate this whole LinkedIn lead nurturing process, and really kind of put it in a set it and forget it phase that'll help you out. So if you want to go to this, just go to bit.ly/October17_9 a.m. That'll take you through to the sign up page. And once you get to the sign up page, just put your name and contact information in, and you'll get an email probably similar to what you saw here, which will give you the link to go through for the webinar. And then the other thing it'll do is it'll give you something to add to your calendar to put a reminder in place. Wow, that was a lot in 35 minutes. First off, I really do appreciate everyone's time. The second thing I want to say is, even though this was focused around our platform, Enter My Invoice, the reason I do that is because, quite honestly, it's the platform I know the best. But what I'm trying to stress here is QuickBooks Online is giving you a golden opportunity to help you automate your process, or your accounting or your bookkeeping process. And, I would highly recommend do some digging and start looking, reach out to these vendors. Like if someone reached out to me, I would gladly sit with them or talk to them or put them online, show them a demo, show them how to use our platform to get it working. I'm sure the other people would do it. Once again, I really love Pluto. I love the stuff that Dream Payments is doing. Insightly as a CRM tool, which the nice thing about Insightly is you can put project milestones in place through Insightly. So you can set up something for your clients and you put project milestones and it will trigger invoices to go out. So same thing is your clients could be on this saying, we've completed this, we've completed this, we completed this, and it will automate that payment process or invoicing process for the clients as well. The one thing I didn't go into here was how accountants could use this, but hopefully if you're an accountant, you can extrapolate from this. What you do is if you have clients that come in with the shoe boxes every year at tax season, same sort of thing. You can take those invoices, take those receipts, take all that stuff, scan it, 25 pages a minute through that Fujitsu Snap Scan, get it into our system, bulk code, everything like that. What may have taken you 8 hours to get through with a client, you can get down to like 50% of that time, make yourself way more profitable. And same thing is you can double the amount of clients you can be going after in tax season if you get a 50% time savings on it, obviously. So yeah, lots and lots of opportunities there. Tell you what, I don't know if anyone has any other questions. I appreciate, I'm going to take a look around, see if anyone's got any questions. We've got quite a few viewers on. Anyone who's on the broadcast on, if they hit it through Google, through YouTube, there's a chat box there. Anyone else, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at 403-630-1243. Once again, if you want to be alerted to when our new platform is coming out, you can also just email me, reach out to me, or I had that link up a little earlier. Let me find it again. There we are. bit.ly/EMI_30day, and you'll get on the list. Yeah, there you go. Everybody, greatly appreciate it. I'm going to hang around for a couple of minutes, see if there's any questions. I will answer any questions that come up I'm going to look on Facebook Live because we had a few people showing up there. And none there. There are none in the chat box, I don't think. And there's no one text me, I believe. So we had a lot of people show up, but I guess, hey, did my job and answered a bunch of questions. So feel free to reach out to me anytime. And hopefully everyone can show up to this one. This one's going to be a great one. This is the first time I've ever actually done this, but we'll go there. Oh, someone just answered, does it work for Sage? So not yet, but we're getting there. We are creating an integration into Sage in the new platform. One thing, okay, so just so people are aware, I'm going to use Enter My Invoice because bookkeeping automation, Enter My Invoice are the exact same thing. Enter My Invoice originally started out as an app. And when you look at apps, apps are like stuff like HubDoc, Receipt Bank, Dream Payments, Pluto, stuff like that. We've moved it now to a platform. So this is kind of this is super cool. There's 90% of the people, or a lot of your clients are going to be on QuickBooks Desktop. One of the things that we're doing is we've now moved our app to a platform setting that will connect directly into QuickBooks. And then what that will do is it also hopefully allow you to use the apps that only work with QuickBooks Online with QuickBooks Desktop. And we'll be the only guys doing that sort of stuff as well. So I know a lot of you have clients that are on QuickBooks Desktop. That'll work there. Same thing with Sage. We'll be able to work with Sage, although I don't know if the apps will work directly with Sage as an interface in that one. But yes, we will be with Sage soon. And in fact, because we're Calgary based and we deal a lot with the oil and gas industry, a lot of companies are on like Sage 50, all the way up to like Sage 300. So there we go. Any other questions? I don't know. Whoever asked that question, thanks a ton. I appreciate you for asking that. And if that's it, feel free, once again, you know what, after the fact, if you don't want to ask any questions here, feel free to reach out to me. Oh, by the way, you know what? I said I wasn't going to send a replay of the webinar. But you know what? This is it's a lot of information for you to take in. So you know what I will do is I will actually send you a replay so you can watch this for a period of time. And we'll go from there. Thanks a ton. Everybody have yourself a great day. And if I can help you in any way, feel free to reach out to me. And I would be more than happy to help anybody out and make their life that much easier. And with that said, there's my ugly mug. Thanks a ton.